You know, there is a curious little phrase we like to toss around, a sort of mantra of the modern age. You only live once. We say it when we're about to do something slightly reckless, or perhaps when we're trying to justify a sudden indulgence. But if you look at it through a certain lens, the lens that doesn't see the world as a collection of separate things, but as a singular, flowing process, that phrase becomes something much more profound than a mere excuse for a second dessert. It becomes the ultimate koan of our existence. The trouble with the way we think about living once is that we treat life as if it were a commodity, a sort of finite bank account of minutes and hours. We treat time as if it were a literal substance, like sand in an hourglass, and we are terrified that it's running out. We've been tricked by our language and our social conditioning into believing that we are passengers on a journey, and that if we don't reach a certain destination or check off a certain number of experiences, we've somehow failed the audition. We are constantly looking over our shoulders at the unlived life, the ghostly possibilities we didn't pursue, as if there were a right way to play this game and a wrong way. But look at the world. Look at a tree. Is a tree going somewhere? Is it trying to reach a state of treeness that it hasn't quite achieved yet? Does the oak tree feel guilty because it isn't a pine? Of course not. The tree is simply treeing. It's a process. And you, my friend, are not a person who has a life. You are a life. You are a personing of the entire universe. When we say you only live once, the ego hears a threat. It hears, quick, grab everything you can. Don't let a moment go to waste. And so we become frantic. We become like a man trying to catch a river in a bucket, but the moment you put the water in the bucket, it stops flowing. It's no longer the river. By trying to capture life, we lose the very thing we're trying to hold. We become managers of our own spontaneity, which is, of course, a total contradiction in terms. We are so busy documenting our lives that we forget to inhabit them. We are like the person who goes to a beautiful concert and spends the whole time recording it on a phone, only to go home and listen to a tinny version of what they actually missed while they were there. We have become a culture of spectators, watching our own lives through a rearview mirror, terrified that the present moment isn't enough unless it is saved for a later that never comes. Consider for a moment the nature of music. When you listen to a symphony, do you sit there waiting for the final note? Do you think, well, the point of this music is to reach the end? If that were true, the best conductors would be the ones who played the fastest, and you'd have symphonies that were just one loud final chord. No. The point of the music is the music itself while it is playing. It is the dance of the melody, the tension of the harmony, the silence between the notes. Living once doesn't mean you have one chance to reach the finish line. It means you have one chance to be the music while it's happening. But we are so obsessed with the future that we have become a civilization of people who live for a tomorrow that never arrives. We are always preparing for something else. We go to school to prepare for high school, then university to prepare for a career to prepare for retirement, and then you're too old to do much of anything. We are like people who spend their whole lives planning a grand feast but never actually sit down to eat. We are perpetually standing on the platform, waiting for a train that has already left. Now, here is where it gets really juicy. Who is this you that only lives once? We have this hallucination that we are a skin-encapsulated ego, a little ghost sitting inside a bag of meat, looking out at a world that is alien and separate from us. We feel like we were cast into this world, like a stranger in a strange land. But you didn't come into this world. You came out of it in the same way that a wave comes out of the ocean or an apple comes out of an apple tree. You are an aperture through which the entire universe is observing itself. You are the Big Bang, still happening, but now you've grown clever enough to put on a suit and tie and worry about your mortgage. When you realize that you aren't a separate entity, the fear of only once begins to dissolve. The you, that is your ego, your name, your history, your social security number that is indeed a temporary mask. It's a persona, which, as you may know, was the word for the masks worn by actors in Greco-Roman theater. The mask is meant to be temporary. The play wouldn't be much fun if the actor couldn't take the mask off. So, living once is the universe trying out a specific flavor of existence called you. And it's doing it with such exquisite detail. It's doing it with the way you tilt your head when you're confused, the specific way you like your coffee, the unique constellation of memories that make up your internal landscape. This particular riff on the cosmic melody will never be played exactly this way again. And that's not a tragedy. That's what makes it art. If a painting were infinite, it would be a wall. It is the frame that makes the picture. It is the onceness that gives the moment its bite, its texture, its reality. We think we want to live forever, but we don't realize that forever would be the most boring thing imaginable. Imagine a movie that never ends. You'd be begging for the credits to roll. The beauty of our life is precisely its fragility, its ephemerality. The cherry blossom is cherished because it falls. If it were made of plastic and lasted forever, no one would write poems about it. Our once is our most precious attribute. It is the seasoning of the cosmos. There is a great beauty in things that don't last. We think that for something to be meaningful, it has to be eternal. But imagine if a sunset lasted for 5 years. You'd get bored of it. You'd close the curtains. The sunset is beautiful precisely because it's vanishing as you look at it. It's a happening that refuses to be frozen. Our lives are the same. We are a happening. And the psychological anxiety we feel, the existential dread, comes from our attempt to make the happening stop. We want to be a thing instead of a process. We want to be a noun instead of a verb. But there are no nouns in nature. The wind doesn't blow. It is blowing. The river doesn't run. It is running. If you can accept that you are a temporary ripple in the cosmic ocean, you can finally relax. You can stop trying to make something of yourself and start being yourself. You can stop treating your life as a series of problems to be solved and start seeing it as a mystery to be experienced. When you stop struggling to stay on top of the water, you find that the water holds you up. You are the current, and the current is the universe dancing with itself. It is a joy. The ego is like a man who has been clutching a rope for 40 years, terrified that if he lets go, he'll fall into an abyss. He's got white knuckles and a racing heart, but the abyss is just the rest of the universe. And if he lets go, he'll find that he's not falling, he's floating. He's part of the whole thing. To live once is to practice the art of the backward step. It's to realize that you don't have to push the world around. You don't have to get anywhere. You are the it that everyone is looking for. But as long as you are looking for it, you are acting as if you don't have it. It's like a man looking for his glasses when they're already on his nose, or a fish looking for the ocean. We are so busy trying to survive that we forget what we are surviving for. We are like a violinist who is so worried about the technicality of the notes that he forgets to feel the vibration of the strings. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. To be alive is to be in a state of constant, glorious flux. The flux is the fun. The flux is the grace. In the end, the big secret, the one they don't teach you in school, is that the universe is a game. Not a serious game with winners and losers, but a playful game, like hide and seek. The Hindus call it Leela. God, or the void, or the Brahman, likes to hide from itself. It likes to pretend it's you, with all your little worries and your specific address and your fear of death. And why? For the same reason you go to the movies or read a novel. You want to be tricked into believing the story is real for a couple of hours. You want to feel the thrill and the fear and the love. When you realize this, you can look at the only once of your life and laugh. You can say, "Ah, what a brilliant costume. What a fascinating character I'm playing today." And you can play it with all your heart, knowing that the real you is the actor, not the mask. You can be sincere without being serious. There is a world of difference. Sincerity is the engagement of the heart. Seriousness is the rigidity of the ego. As we wrap up this little chat, I want you to listen, not to me, but to the world around you. Listen to the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of traffic, the wind in the trees. All of this is the music. All of this is the once. Don't try to save it. Don't try to document it so you can remember it later. Just be it. The moment you try to remember it, you've stepped out of it. You've become a spectator instead of a participant. You've tried to turn the dance into a photograph. But the dance is only the dance when it's moving. You only live once. But if you do it right, if you truly, deeply see that you are the eternal universe playing a temporary game of being you, then once is plenty. In fact, once is infinite. Because in the eternal now, there is no time.